I call this meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. We don't have any minutes to approve, correct? So let's get straight to the first item. Public hearing, request for determination of applicability. Michael Quigley, 19 and 27 Ferncroft Road. Is there anybody here for that?
Yeah.
Could you please come up and introduce yourselves?
Mike Quigley, I'm the homeowner, 27 Ferncroft Road.
All right.
Here?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Is there anything you want to present?
I haven't sat through one of these before, so I don't know what the protocol is. I'm looking to have some tree removal done on the property along with my neighbor. So I'm speaking on behalf of him as well tonight. And I believe the applications have all been submitted and public notice has been sent and the butters have been notified, so.
Joe, is there anything you would like to say on this?
yep. So I had stopped by the 27 Ferncroft residence because there was some unpermitted tree cutting occurring. I had investigated it further. There was about 5 or so trees that were cut without a permit. The crane involved in the tree removal process was operating from the driveway, so it was a pretty clean operation. They were cutting the trees but leaving the stumps in place. There was no actual alteration to the wetland. It just is kind of the formality of just getting the permit and going through the Conservation Commission for approval. I think the applicant, I believe, proposes to cut about 8 to 10 more trees.
Right.
Those trees lie either within the wetland itself or within the buffer zone, but I would recommend to the commission that if a negative determination were issued, the conditions being that the heavy machinery continues to operate within the driveway or the roadway, the stumps be left in place kind of just as they were doing it, and the permit be limited to about 10-ish trees. And then coordinating with me once the work occurs again.
Okay.
But other than that, I have no other comments.
So you said 8 trees, 8 more trees that you'd...
Yeah, so it's about 8 or 9 pines, white pines,
All right.
that remain to be removed. And again, I think 2 or 3 of them were within the wetlands, and I think 2 were right on the border, and then the others were within the 100-foot buffer of the wetlands.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments?
So my only question is, in the application it says 8 to 9 trees. Is if they do 10, is that excluded because their application says 9? I just want to make sure the paperwork side of it's filled out properly. Or it does not matter. I just want to make sure.
I guess it doesn't, my field notes, I believe, said 8 to 12.
Correct.
Somewhere in that ballpark, I guess.
That formal application submitted says 8 to 9. I just want to make sure if they do 9, do they have to come back for the next 3? If
Yeah, no,
Right. No, there's a very definitive number that are going to be removed. We're not interested in taking anything down other than what has been already marked. And I think there's only 8 trees.
I think 10 would be a fair number.
All right, yeah.
Anything else might have been out towards my driveway, well out of the buffer zone, but
Yeah.
they were saplings and, just invasive kind of growth.
All right.
Now, you're removing the trees, you're not letting them sit there?
They are being removed, correct.
Okay. And you have no intention of bringing any fill in or anything else like that?
No intention of bringing any
Okay.
fill in, no.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. This is a public hearing, so if anybody would like to ask any questions or speak on this, but I'm not seeing anybody get up. All right. So could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. And so I think we're all set for this one. It's going to be, I guess, 9 trees. I guess if you find another tree that you'd like to cut down, just let Joe know about it.
Right.
We're going to ask that you do that, consult with him before you begin the process anyway, so.
Okay.
So could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion along with the conditions the Conservation Commissioner put in.
There. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, next order, request for determination of applicability, W. Freetag Construction on behalf of Mark and Katie Airoldi, 96 Sheridan Lane. Is there anybody here for that? Could you just please introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, I'm Katie Araldi. I'm the homeowner.
Wayne Freitag, the contractor.
And is there anything you'd like to present?
I think basically we've done the plan. We're looking to do a 28 by 30 addition, basically where the driveway is sitting now. And we've presented the plan with the flags and all, everything. I believe everything is in order there, so.
Yep. So this started off as a building permit. So I went out to do a site visit. I saw that there was wetlands within 100 feet. They had it surveyed, and there's the plan presented to the commission shows the wetlands are about 70 feet away. They had proposed erosion sediment controls along the back. It's a pretty steep slope that dips down into the wetlands. So if the commission were to issue a negative determination, I would recommend installing the erosion and sediment controls, such as a staked straw wattle or a silt fence where you propose on the site plan, and just maintaining that throughout construction and until any loose or disturbed soil has stabilized. And then prior to any construction activity commencing, just install the erosion and sediment controls and then coordinate with me so that I can inspect them and approve of them. And other than that, I have no comments.
Anybody else on the commission? Any questions or comments?
No, he's well outside of the 50-foot too, so I don't have any issues with it.
I'm good.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody who would like to speak, not seeing anybody rush up to the podium. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at this meeting with the erosion controls and consulting with the conservation agent beforehand? Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, another request for determination of applicability. Patrick Richard, 18 Doherty Way, Assessors Map 9, Lot 82. Is there anybody here for that?
There's no one here for this. They coordinated with me saying that they were out of town.
All right.
But it may be a project that the commission still would want to discuss.
You've conducted a site visit?
Yeah, so I've conducted a site visit. Basically, the applicant wants to construct an above-ground pool within their yard. Their yard, unfortunately, just abuts a wetland kind of directly to the rear, and there's one to the side. So they would essentially be asking for a waiver from the no-build zone and/or the no-disturb zone so that they could construct an above-ground pool within their backyard. Their backyard is all maintained lawn, so it's not like they would be disturbing any kind of native vegetation.
Is that circle on the plot plan where the pool's going? Like rudely drawn right there? Is that the pool or is it?
Yes, but I don't know if that's like accurately drawn, so.
Yeah, it says pad proposed to be 25 feet or greater from the wetland lines. So I take it that they don't have an exact spot
Yeah,
laid out
exactly.
just yet.
Right. So they haven't coordinated with me to do a follow-up visit to mark exactly where they want it. So I couldn't tell you if they want a waiver for both the 25 and the 50 or just the 50 because they don't have an exact location that they've proposed. They have proposed to keep it outside of the 25, but
So if it's
Yeah,
outside of the 25 and it's in the 50-foot no-build zone, the size of that pool, I'm not very good at math, it's 15 times 50, no, 7.5 times 7.5 times 3.15. That would be under the 10% that you could do in the no-build zone. Is that correct? So they really wouldn't need a waiver. They would need a waiver if it was in the no-disturb zone.
yeah, and I think based off the diameter of the pool, they might encroach a little bit.
Yeah, but he's going to be he's going to be 25 feet away from the,
Yeah, I mean, that's what they had stated, yes, but.
but I also would have the question of what are they using for the pool? Are they using diatomaceous earth? Are they using sand filter? Because when you go to backwash a pool, you don't want them backwashing into the wetlands.
Right.
So we need to have that question answered.
Yeah, should we continue this until,
That would be my suggestion until we get a definitive plan, because if he's going to, you have to backwash the pool. Trust me, I know this. I hate my pool. I want a tree to fall on it. You know?
What kind of tree you
But
want?
if it's diatomaceous earth, it just makes a mess, and you don't want that in. Even chlorinated water you don't want into the wetlands because it will kill certain species of.
Right.
So I would suggest that we continue it until he come up with a definitive plan.
yeah, it's in the yard, so I think they're not proposing to clear a bunch of wetlands or anything like that. So I have no problem with, a pool, but I do think it's important that we get that clarification on,
Right.
where everything is. All right, anybody else have any questions or comments?
I'm good.
This is a public hearing, so before I actually open it to the public, can we continue everything and open the public hearing at that point, or do we have to continue both the public hearing?
The public hearing is now open.
Yeah, all right, that's, all right.
There's a time frame to open the public hearing and have the meeting unless it's an agreed upon continuance.
Yeah, all right.
So in this case, it's not, because they don't know it's going to be continued.
All right, so in that case, can I have a motion to continue the public hearing and the request for determination of applicability to the next meeting on April 6th, 2022, unless they are also out of town than the next one?
We have to open the public hearing. Are you going to open the public hearing after?
No, as soon as the public hearing is now open.
Yeah, but we.
All right, so I will do this. The public hearing is open. If there's anybody in the public who would like to get up and speak on this, now is also your chance, but you will have an additional chance at the next meeting. And not seeing anybody rush up. Yes, all right. Could I have a motion to continue the public hearing and request for a determination of applicability to the next meeting on April 6th, 2022?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Now, public hearing, a request for determination of applicability, Julie Taggart, 7 Heath Street, Assessor's Map 68, Lot 25.
How are you?
Could you introduce yourself and present whatever?
I am Katie McSheehy. I work for the contractor, and the homeowner wants to rebuild their deck. It's going to be the same footprint, but they are within 100 yards of the river.
So just to provide some context, I went out to the site. As they propose, it's a in-kind deck replacement. They're about 40 feet away from the Shawshene riverbank, and then there's wetlands on the other side of the river. Them just being in a riverfront area is why they're here, and they're closer than 50 feet. So they don't fall under any exemption. So it's really no alteration since you're just disturbing already existing impervious area. So I guess if the commission were to issue a negative determination, it would just be that it's not altering the riverfront area, but in the case that there is disturbed soil, just to put like a straw wattle or silt fence around the deck.
Okay.
And then coordinate with me so that I can inspect it and put it up prior to construction.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I have none. It's existing footprint.
Yeah, I think that's, as long as you stick to that.
Yes.
No reason to not do this.
Yep, same size.
Once again, this is a public hearing, not seeing anybody get up. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I saw somebody walk in.
Yeah, they're just in the hallway.
All right. Actually, so do we have to, this is already continued, so do we actually, why am I blanking on this? Do we have to continue this even though it's already
I don't know, but it couldn't hurt to say.
Yeah, let's do it. Can I have a motion to continue this public hearing, notice of intent, Matt Hammer on behalf of Highland View Realty Trust, 60 Highland Road, DP file number 3051155, to the next meeting on 4/20/2022.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. And now, public hearing, notice of intent, Civil Design Consultants, Inc., Vale Street, Assessors Map 112, lots 23, 87, 94, DB file number 3051154. I believe that is you.
Yeah.
Yes. Could you please come up and introduce yourselves?
I thought we were at the bottom of the page.
We've been going through these pretty quickly.
I'm gonna run over here and see if the easel is there.
Oh, yeah.
I was with Joe today, and I thought we'd be here until 11:30. No overtime tonight, huh?
No easel.
I'll just point it over the page. Just tell me which one you want.
Thanks, yes, that one right there.
I feel like Vanna White.
Well, you don't look like him.
Okay, Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants, here on behalf of CA Investment Trust for a 4-lot subdivision located off of Vale Street. 18 acres in size, 650 feet of frontage, and this is off of Vale Street. This plan right here is the current plan that is recorded at the Registry of Deeds. It was approved for a 9-lot, single-family subdivision with about 600 feet of roadway in 1987. It's currently in land court, which is just basically a different recording process. and Dick could probably tell you a lot more than I could on it, but it's in land court. There's actually 9 individual lots there. This is what we started looking at last year. And the first thing we did was come to you for the order of the resource area delineation. As you can see here, it's not a viable alternative in today's world. In 1987, this was viable. We could fill wetlands to make this roadway and this project work. We looked at it, we got the wetlands recorded. It's just not viable where it is. So if you flip that around, so the first alternative that we did out of my office and with Dick as well was look at what we can actually do from a zoning compliance perspective, as well as complying with the conservation regs in the act. So what you're looking at there is a 6-lot OSRD subdivision. In order to build that roadway, we would need to impact direct wetland impacts of approximately 2,200 feet of wetland area. We would have a stream crossing, which would need to be designed to meet the DEP's stream crossing standards. And we're adjacent to what you might remember from the ORAD discussion was a depression that has vernal pool characteristics, but due to the time of year, we weren't able to confirm or not whether or not it was a vernal pool. Literally 10, 15 feet off of the edge of pavement there. So that was the second alternative that we looked at. We looked at everything and said, this might be a better project if we leave some meat on the bone and we go in with a 4-lot subdivision with just frontage off of Vale Street with the intention to build on 3 of the 4 lots. So there'd be no roadway constructed. I think it's the next one. No roadway constructed as part of this. It's just frontage off of Vale Street and 3 single-family house lots that we'd build on. So starting on the far left, that's lot 1. It's approximately 45,000 square feet in area, and we really only have minor impacts within the 100-foot. We have no impacts within the 50-foot wetland buffer. You can see that outer green dashed line is the 100-foot wetland buffer. The lot in the middle is approximately 50,000 square feet. We have, again, minor impacts within the 100-foot wetland buffer. And we have 386 square feet of impacts within the riverfront area, so far below the 5%, 5,000 square feet or 10%. And then lot 3 is the closest one to the perennial stream. It's approximately 84,000 square feet in area. I'll look at this one a little bit differently and say that we have no impacts within your 25-foot no disturb buffer. We do have impacts inside the 50 and the 100, and we have about 7,000 square feet of impacts within the riverfront area, which is about 8.4% of the lot, so it complies with the 10% maximum. So where do we stand right now is ORAD was approved by the commission in November of last year. We went to the planning board with an A&R plan. They've approved that A&R plan, and we're in the process of working it through land court. We don't want to get too deep with that until we kind of come here to you, give you the presentation, and see if you, what comments you have. My office has had some back and forth with DPW. There's no technical comments, questions outstanding. We've addressed everything that we're aware of as of this point. We also had some direct feedback with DEP, and I'm not aware of any outstanding comments with them. With that being said, I think that's a decent summary of the project, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those for you.
All right. Any comments?
So myself, Jim in his office, and DEP had conversations about this project. I think some key facts about the project is that there's really only one lot that's within, or there's only one lot that's altering riverfront area. That lot is altering riverfront area between 100 and 200 feet. So whenever you alter riverfront area, you like to not alter the 100-foot riparian zone of the riverfront area. They don't need to comply with the Massachusetts stormwater standards based off of an exemption in the standards. There's no work proposed within the 200-foot buffer zone of the vernal pool identified in the ORAD. And then we had just worked through the regulatory compliance stuff, and a lot of the compliance stuff whenever you work within the riverfront area is providing a adequate alternatives analysis to the project. So you have to basically justify why you are altering the area that you are within the riverfront area. So they had presented the two other options, I believe, that had more impacts to the wetland resources on site. So all things considered, it's relatively low impact compared to the alternatives. So the only regulatory thing hanging up on this project is that the lots need to consider the alterations as the lots are currently recorded. So not as the lots are currently drawn or proposed. So that's kind of the only regulatory part of the project that's being held up.
So is that the land court, you have to change
Yeah.
the lines and then you can,
Yeah, I mean, I think regulatorily speaking, that makes sense. It's not always how we do it. A lot of times we'll present this to you, we'll be in the process of getting a subdivision, you guys will approve it, we'll button everything up with planning. In this case, we actually have planning approval. I can't get it endorsed till we get through land court, which could take, they tell me, as much as 6 months. So that's where we stand. We're kind of like in limbo there. And then when this comment came up, I basically said, whatever you guys want us to do, because we can't go out and build anything until we get the land court signed off anyhow. So it's kind of, you know, if we can agree to continue it, if that's what you'd like, we just won't want to have to refile it and come back and re-notify and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we wanted to find out though what your temperature was on, whether this is less impact on the resource area in total than the other two alternatives, because that's one of the thresholds that we have to meet. So then we can deal with the land court. Yeah, this would probably be one where I know Mr. Holland doesn't like to keep continuing, you know, without having some.
As long as we have an explanation, I don't mind continuing.
I mean, rightfully so. So what I would suggest is that if we get your feedback, is we would probably put it out, you know, not like at the next meeting.
yeah, we would continue to a specific date. And
Yeah,
I don't know if you can tell, but I think this one might have a lot of people for the public hearing. So we want to hear all of their opinions too. And I don't want them to come back, you know, every week, you know, every meeting when they don't have to. So I think getting a solid date on, and that, I understand that will be in a determination by other factors, but I think it's best to, you know, continue it to a further date, and then we can warn everybody else when there's actual, you know, when we can actually do something about this, because it doesn't seem like it's a good idea to, you know, try to actually vote on anything right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as, what we'd like to do, like Dick said, is just make sure that all your technical comments are addressed. Basically have the review, and if the only item left is to address the land court piece to it, then, you know, as opposed to reintroducing it in 2 months or whatever it is.
if this wasn't registered land, we could just do away with those lot lines on the 87 subdivision and then just re-subdivide it. But land court doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Once they make a lot, it's like,
Well, Mr. Chairman, my suggestion would be, if it is continued, that you provide the the abutters with another certified mailing, because if you're telling me 6 months from now,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it could be a year from now. And I think that it would be appropriate to notify the residents by certified mail, because, like I said, we don't want to keep continuing. People keep showing up and say, well, continued again.
Yep.
So I would do that, and I think the next time you'd be here, you would be close. Even if we had to continue it one or two more times, at least if it's 6 months from now, the neighbors, the abutters have a notice.
That's fair, because, you know, we don't want to come every 2 weeks.
Right.
They don't want to come every 2 weeks. You know, we can renotice when we get all the technical stuff out of the way, then we'll send them another notice when, you know, sit with Joe, find out what can get on the meeting, and then send them out another notice. That's fair, Mr. Hall.
Okay.
I guess some of the comments that I had, just so the commission is aware, I had asked if dewatering is part of the construction project, and the response was essentially no, based on the test pit data already done on the site. I also noted, and I believe the project plans have been updated since, but because it's a subdivision, a decent amount of disturbance, I just had suggested to beef up the erosion and sediment controls to consist of 2 sets of silt fencing and straw wattles, and just for Lot 3, just to make sure that the 100-foot area of the riverfront area is not disturbed by surveying out the erosion and sediment controls or surveying out the limit of work, just so nothing gets creeped on during construction.
This one's kind of sensitive, so in a couple of the areas that are close by, we might even just put up a small section of snow fence behind that, because, you know, that's orange and you can see it from
Yeah, yep.
forever.
And just so the commission is aware, from a regulatory perspective in the WPA, whenever an applicant alters greater than 5,000 square feet of riverfront area, the issuing authority may require a wildlife habitat evaluation study under 310 CMR 10.60. So just putting that out there.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
My only question is about the storm tech chambers. Do those require any maintenance, or once they're installed, nothing will be done to them? Because it
Yeah,
runs
no.
under a driveway, so I just want to make sure that there's
Right.
access if maintenance is needed.
Yeah, there'll be an access port, but really, there's not too much we can do with that, and that's why we just put rooftop water, which is generally clean, doesn't have the silt. So it might have leaves and whatnot, but
Yep.
it's going to get through the gutter and just sit at the bottom of it.
So that's just, the roof leaders are direct connected to that storm tech, and the driveway will just drain to the street or drain off into the
No,
road?
it actually drains down to the right-of-way line, which has a low point, and then it sheets to either side, which was one of the comments from DPW. They didn't want to see water off the driveway into the roadway. So we're able to just make some adjustments right around where it meets the road to get that to work.
And that swale's big enough for like a 1-inch storm or something like that, or is it designed to handle that? Or?
Yeah. I don't know what the storm was off the top of my head, but it pitches away, so we
Yep.
don't contribute into the roadway.
Okay.
All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to ask any questions or, yes. Can I just ask, yeah, you kind of move away. And please use the,
I just want to get gauges to where everything is here.
this is all available online. Just want to,
Excuse me, you mind if I point this out to him?
oh, yeah, go right ahead.
Is the generator.
Okay?
Yeah.
So these are all going to be just on Vale Street,
Yeah.
correct?
Can you introduce yourself just for the record before you ask questions? And then,
The microphone.
I live at 136.
yeah, at the microphone, just so it's on record. Yep. Perfect.
Hi, my name is Mark Poleski. I live at 136 Vale.
Michael Taylor, 118 Vale Street.
Michael Rizzo, 152 Vale Street.
So, just so get a focus where it is. That's where the
So
pump is.
Mike Rizzo's house is here, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I haven't heard anything discussed about all the rest of the land. Is that considered wetlands and never to be touched?
Can you repeat your question?
So my question is this. This is taking up, what, 3, maybe 4 acres, correct? And there's 18 acres of plus or minus? So what is the status of the remainder of the land? And is it developable? Is it being developed in the future?
My understanding, and I ask you to correct me, I'm sure you will need to. So that ANRAD that we did, area of resource, I'm mixing it up, development area, we specified where the wetlands are on a map. And so anything that's in the wetlands, you can't build on. 25 feet from that, you can't disturb that. 50 feet from that, you can't build on. 100 feet from that, you have to come to us to do anything. So anything there, you, like in the wetlands, in the no disturb zone, you pretty much can't do anything. Everything else, I don't know what their plan is. Looking at the map, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot more space that they can, but there is that other portion that is not being developed, so.
Which is over there, correct? Next to the highway?
Yes, yep.
Okay, so,
What are the future plans for Lot 4?
Well, we can't, Mr. Chairman, we can't speculate. We have to discuss what's in front of us.
so when we finally, and I would appreciate it if we did get a registered letter. I'm here at every meeting, I come
Yeah,
when others don't, okay? So I would appreciate a register, I am in a butter. And when we do have a final thing, I would really like to know exactly the whole lot, all 18 acres as to what's going to happen.
I can tell you right now, we don't know.
Yeah, that's,
No, but when you come,
But we're not buying that, sir. We're only buying these 3 lots. The current owner is keeping the rest of the land. What he's going to do with it,
well,
I know, and
You know,
I know where you're going with this.
and I know where they're going.
Historically, you've
Right,
come
so-
here multiple times, and so but we can't really discuss that because it's only what's in front of us. I mean,
so if it's possible, okay, when we come together to discuss these 3 lots, and you're not buying this one, is this one considered all part of this one?
no, it comes up here.
Okay,
And
so-
then it's all down to the railroad.
So this is lot 4.
Let me just see, hold on a second.
I'm sorry.
Hold on a second, let me see if I can, let me try to answer the question here.
We've seen this game before.
So,
and could I just ask that you, can you introduce yourself?
Rose Rizzo, 152 Veal Street.
Thank you.
I'm the abutter.
So if you could picture where, like
They're
this,
building right next to us.
okay,
this is all the land that's left.
right, but lot 4 stops right here, in this general area, right?
It comes up like this and it goes back like that. It's like a.
So you're saying lot 4?
Think of a
is-
road extending right along there and along the railroad tracks,
Right.
and a
So
bunch
you're
of
saying
condos built on
Lot
stilts
4
right
is
there.
15 acres, give or take.
Well, first of all, man,
Yes.
not to get off the subject, even if you could, it's not zoned for condos, so you're never gonna see condos. This here would have to cross that riverfront area. It would have to cross a big wetland area, and then it would have to impact, there's hardly any, it would be so much impact that it's not worth doing. That's why we came in with the alternative to this plan. So everything that's hatched out here is wet.
And if I could, Mr. Chairman,
So basically, lot 4 goes like this, comes up here, there's a little bit of dry, and then from here on is
it's all wet, right. And so if I could, the entire 9 existing parcels total about 18 acres, give or take. We're buying plus or minus 4 of those for the 3 lots. The challenge would be for anybody, if they were going to do anything on the 4th lot, is that you'd have direct wetland impacts. We'd have to come back to you for anything, right? We're not doing it, so I can't speak to what the original owner has. But the case could be made that we're creating our own hardship, right? If we design something and subdivide it out, that can come into play when you review direct wetland impacts, right? So I understand the neighbors are skeptical, maybe, but this is a 3-lot residential subdivision. If we wanted to go in with 6 to 7 lots, we could have done it. It's just that the barriers are the technical side, the stormwater side, the regulatory side. It's a challenge.
So you said you were buying 4 lots?
4 acres, which would be the 3 lots that you see there, yeah.
So if you just bought the land from Vale Street to the railroad tracks, the value of the land from where it shows it ends here to the railroad tracks would seem to be relatively not very valuable. So could you just buy the lots and extend these lots right to the railroad tracks?
Not for the amount of money they want for all that wetland.
Well, you wouldn't think that wetland, unbuildable wetland would have a lot of economic value unless you see a way to turn that into profit. So
Well, it could be, and I don't want to speak for that owner, but it could be that if he has 13 acres of wetland, he might put some, can't fill it in. He might put some value on it and say, oh, I can donate this and get a tax return. So, but the point is, we are only buying 4 acres, putting in 3 lots. If we could get a 4th lot over here, we would.
Yeah, right.
But it's a riverfront and it's wetland, so you can't put one in there, so that's why we're not buying it.
So, again, you know what, when you have all your ducks in a row and you're ready to take and present what is close, and we're going to get our notifications. Like I said, I'm going to have more questions about this, and
I'm answering them right now.
if it's truly all wet,
We do not.
I'm concerned about water. Because I live
Yeah.
I
was just
cannot
gonna say.
guarantee things in the future.
Can I ask if the abutters have any concerns about the currently proposed project of the 3 lots?
You kind of have to rein this back in to talk.
I'm on 5-2. No.
my question is, will the paper right-of-way, the paper road, be dissolved now? And
Yes, yes.
you'll build houses?
Yep.
That's Tadmuck Circle that was never developed. It's,
Right.
they're trying to get rid of that fake street.
Yep. And
Hold on, can we just
Yeah,
get
can
one
we-
person talking at a time?
At the
I
microphone,
get
too.
water in my yard.
Hey, Dick, do you mind just we're gonna do one comment at a time, and we're gonna limit it to just the 3 homes for right now. And if you guys could go out to the microphone, that'd be great.
Yep. So the original question was
You'll have to reintroduce yourself.
Yeah.
Michael Taylor, Vale Street.
Just so it's on the record.
Yep. Michael Taylor, Vale Street. And the original question was, will the paper street be dissolved? And I was told that it would be taken over by 1 or 2 of the lots.
Yeah, right.
And do these lots include where there is currently a culvert under the,
Yes. Lot 2 has that culvert.
so then the owner of that lot will be then responsible for maintenance of the culvert? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a piece of infrastructure on his property. He'd want to keep it maintained, but, yeah.
Just
Yep.
having watched them want to spend $600,000 to preserve 2 house lots, I'm kind of interested who's going to. This has been going on a long time.
Yeah, okay, probably longer than me, yeah.
I had hair when we started.
You're more than me, so.
And why is on the right-hand lot, the one closest to what would be 93, it looks like the lot line moves away from the street and there's,
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, it's a, that,
I can explain that. When, before 93 was here, Vale Street went like that. So when they relocated Vale Street, the town kept title to that. They didn't abandon that. So that is, the actual street line kind of comes up like that.
Oh, so that's actually town land.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which helps you because now they got to go across a large section of town land to get to Lot 4.
Yep. Well, as background to explain to the committee, one of the reasons why the abutters are so concerned is there was a plan to rezone that to a business district and construct a medical building that incidentally happened to coincide with the construction of one of those large buildings.
So I'm going to
So
interrupt
that's
you.
why we're so concerned, and I understand
Yeah.
that's irrelevant to your,
I'm going to,
Correct.
real quick, I'm going to limit this discussion until 7:20. We've already been talking about it for quite some time, and you will have a chance later on when they come back. The zoning issue, however, that's an entirely different issue. That's zoning
I'm only
laws.
meant bringing that up as informational of why the abutter is so
Yeah.
agitated.
Right now, there's only certain things you can do in this area. They're trying to do them, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else, any questions while time is remaining?
So my only other comment is,
Do you want to reintroduce yourself as well?
approximate timeframe is for this next meeting? We
Can you
don't.
just reintroduce yourself real quick? Sorry.
The person who's
I
taking,
know.
the person
Okay.
who's taking the minutes isn't here, so
Yeah, they have to.
Mark Poleski, 136 Vale. Just a rough time guesstimate. We are going to be given a
You two would
registered
know
letter.
better. It's land court. They said 6 months.
we'd probably ask that you put it on the agenda 90 days out, right?
90 days.
And then we'll talk to Joe as that gets closer. But I would say 90 to 180 days. We're going to do it as soon as we can. Like,
have you ever dealt with the land court?
No.
yeah, it's not up to us, right? So we're at their mercy on their time frame. We have all of our paperwork and the survey done. It's in the process of being submitted over the next few weeks, so.
They have two people at the land court that have to take care of 351 cities and towns, so,
Sounds like my job, okay.
yeah, so it doesn't flow as quickly as we would like it to.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Not seeing anybody else get up to discuss this. So,
So just so we're clear, if we set it for 90 days out, and we know that we're not back to the land court, we'll have to drag the folks out again. And then if after that, then we would push it off till whenever and do the certified mail.
Well, I would suggest that we make it to a date to be determined.
yeah,
And the date to be determined, 3 weeks before that date is determined, every one of these abutters gets a certified letter saying, this is the time, this is the place.
Instead of setting.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair, yeah. We don't know how long it's going to take. so-
yeah, it could be next week. Who knows? But and in that case,
When you know, you let us know so we have time.
yes.
If it was next week, I'd lose a big bet.
I don't like coming here and then going home without.
All right. So, can I have a motion to continue this notice of intent for DEP file number 3051154 to a date to be determined with the condition that certified mail be sent out to all the abutters, warning them of the next meeting,
Correct.
Weeks prior, I believe.
3 weeks prior.
3 weeks prior? Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
he has continued, right, the next one?
Yes.
It's mine here. Somebody took it. I don't know. Yeah.
It's called Pat Sajak now. I can hold it again, Jim.
He would definitely know Vanna.
I think the camera gets it better.
Oh, okay.
All right, real quick, public hearing, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, Norse Environmental Services, DP file number 3051156. This is being continued to the next.
Yeah, April 6th.
Could I have a motion to continue this to the next meeting on April 6th?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Now, I think this one will go a little bit quicker and possibly not as much discussion. Public hearing, notice of intent, civil design consultants on behalf of Arnie Martell, 70 Fraser Lane, Assessors Map 25, Lot 86, DP file number not yet assigned. Would you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants.
Dick Cuco from Woodland Design. Microphone's there, pick me up.
All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of what we're proposing, then Dick can give you a little bit of the history on the project. We actually do have a file number, it's 305-1158. I checked that earlier today, no comments from DEP, but they did issue a file number. So this is lot 20, or I believe 70 Fraser Lane, 3.4 acres in size, approximately 200 feet of frontage on Fraser Lane. The resource areas that are on site are the 100-foot wetland buffer, the local 50 and 25-foot wetland buffer. We also have a certified vernal pool, which is the blue area that Dick's pointing out. Our closest impact to that is about 80 feet away, and that's just for the access driveway to come through and provide access to the house. The proposed activities on site are limited to the construction of a single-family house, about 350 feet of a 14-foot wide driveway, grading around the house and with the driveway, and then utility services. Portions of the driveway are within the 25-foot no-build zone, and that has to do with the fact that we have wetlands on both sides of that access drive. And so we don't have much of a choice there, but what we did do was position the driveway in a spot that has the least impact. It's actually within a SOAR easement. That SOAR was never actually placed, but the easement was cut at one point, and there was some minor grading done so that we could put that, I think it's like a yellowy orange replication area there, which was part of the agreement for the original subdivision that was approved back in 2001. So having said that, I mentioned that we had no DEP comments. Joe provided a few comments which we're working toward addressing, one of which was to reflag the wetland boundary, which we've used the old record line, which was approved in 2001 and then again in 2008. But we'll flag this over the next few weeks and be back to share that with you. And then one of the comments that Joe had was with regard to condition number 23 of the original order of conditions from 2001. And with that, Dick can give you a little bit of history on that.
I scoured the countryside and had a conversation with Attorney Rick O'Neill, who was the attorney on the project when they were permitting it. And one thing, there was a condition in there that said that lot 20 would be not a building lot and it would be deeded over to the town. Since that time, there has been a couple of changes in the situation over there. for the first 10 years, it was being taxed as a buildable lot. The theory behind why the commission wanted to keep that area as not buildable and as a piece that was going to be deeded to the town is, the first reason was they didn't think that it would be successful, the replication areas would be successful in 5 or 6 of them that had to be put in because there was a crossing to loop the road around instead of having 2 giant dead ends. Well, here we are 18 years later, and the replication areas are very robust and they're thriving. As I said, the town really doesn't have any interest anymore in having open space unless the open space is in a homeowners association, which this particular subdivision doesn't have a homeowners association. So the fact that that land would be just town land, I had a conversation with the assistant town manager, and he said, well, you know, we're not really looking to take land anymore. The other interesting fact that was I think the most compelling was that part of the arguments, the discussion was wrapped around the vernal pool and the fact that this area might be a habitat for endangered species. In 2017, when we were doing permitting on the abutting lots, we reached out to Fish and Wildlife at Natural Heritage. I always want to say National Heritage, but it's Natural Heritage. And we asked them, they said, well, we would like to get an opinion letter from you that this is not, it's a vernal pool, but is it a wildlife habitat? And we got a letter back from them saying that the area surrounding that area does not have any characteristics of a wildlife habitat. It wasn't in their database. And the area being expanded, it would not likely be part of the inventory for endangered species, and it was signed by Tom French, who was the assistant director. So to us, that was a big compelling factor, and that's what helped us get permitting for 90 and 100 Fraser Lane and 60 Fraser Lane when we were coming in to do some pools. So that's where we were at. So went to the planning board the other night, gave them the same explanation. They agreed to endorse a plan that would remove the notation that it was not a buildable lot.
I just have a quick question for your inquiry with Natural Heritage. Natural Heritage, okay.
You got it right.
You inquired whether that land had was in their estimated or rare habitat?
Yeah.
Okay. My understanding is that those like vernal pools and whether an area is mapped as estimated or priority habitat are 2 separate things. So I don't know if the right question was asked for Natural Heritage, because if you look on aerial imagery, it will show yellow hash marks of where estimated or rare habitat are.
Yeah.
But then the vernal pools are separate. So if he said, yeah, there's no estimated or rare habitat there, he might be referring to something else. Like, it doesn't nullify the fact that that's a vernal pool.
But I'm saying is that we recognized that it was a vernal pool, and the commission did back in the day.
Yeah.
They also wanted to have that additional land because they thought that it would be a habitat. Well, first of all, as you know, it doesn't extend 200 feet beyond the pool anyways. But, you know, that was a different group that was permitting it. If my company was permitting it back in the day, we would have asked those questions back then. But it was a different engineering firm, and they didn't question it. So when we came in to start doing work on 60, 80, 90, and 100, 90 and 100, at the time, Stefania had brought that up, so we said, all right. So we went to Natural Heritage and said, we understand that the vernal pool's there. We're not dismissing the vernal pool, but the area that's in question, is that going to function as a habitat? And their answer was no. Other than
I'd be curious to see what the actual inquiry was. because I think he might have been referring to something else.
I'll give you the letter here, but he said.
Yeah.
The information regarding state-listed rare species in the vicinity above site, there isn't any.
Yeah, but
But that was the concern
yeah, sure.
back in 2001 or whatever.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, that particular concern is no longer valid, so. We didn't ask the question is whether it's a vernal pool. We asked what the thought process was, the commission was that it was going to be a habitat, and it's not. Matter of fact, the habitat's actually, since it was about 15 years ago, it came all the way across Long Meadow Road, and now it's on the other side of Long Meadow Road. And
Yeah.
it used to come up on Foster Lane and that area is, I think since they finally evaluate these things after the highways come through and find out that the migrating patterns, once you get highways, is not the same as before you had highways, so.
But I think too that we're not claiming that there's no vernal pool habitat around that vernal pool. We're claiming that it's not mapped as priority habitat.
Yeah.
Where in 2001, there was a concern that it would be. And that led to that condition. I think that's the distinction, is that Dick was able to talk to the attorney that did the permitting, that had some context on why that condition was put in there. Because I had looked at it for 6 months, and based on the minutes, based on all the conversations we had, I couldn't see why it was that condition was put in there. It didn't. There was no reason. There was no regulatory reason that condition was there.
So it's not from the WPA perspective. When I believe once a vernal pool is certified, the vernal pool habitat extends 100 feet from the delineation of the actual depression. So I think that there may be that might be what they were referring to.
They being who?
Why it was originally protected.
Oh, okay, yeah, that might be the case.
Because there was a 100-foot buffer that extended from where that is delineated.
Right. But now we know that habitat goes to the wetland edge, right? As opposed to 200 feet out from the actual vernal pool.
Yes, from the WPA perspective.
Yes, right.
Under our bylaws, we still have a 200-foot buffer zone. That doesn't mean, just like the buffer zone for wetlands, you can still do stuff in the buffer zone, but.
And Mr. Chairman, we had come in, we had a subdivision plan where we said, all right, we can take off, an acre of land, just everything to the right of the driveway and leave, when I had my conversation with the SADC, I said, we can leave, we had lot 22B, which was 1.5 acres, and he said, 1.5 acres, 3 acres, it's not open space that we would want to have, because then the town's going to be responsible for it and what have you. If this was a cluster subdivision or an OSRD and we had a homeowners association, then it remains open space in perpetuity, but there is a entity that is responsible for taking care of it. So we can do it either way. When we went into the planning board, we got the plan approved. It shows lots 20A and 20B. Our intention is that if the open space isn't needed by the town, then we'll just sell the homeowner both lots. Can't build on that left side anyway,
So nonetheless, there's still plans to come back with updated site plans after it's reflagged, surveyed, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, we have to address your comment.
Yes.
I think it's reasonable, right? I mean, this is a record plan from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Even though we have looked at it, we feel it's a
Yeah.
good representation, but we'll take care of that, yeah.
And then the issue of the deeding it to the land, it's up, it's the commission needing to think about that. Whether they want to just disregard that from that order of conditions or get a certificate of compliance from that order of conditions first. It's not really a thing that comes up too often, so.
Yeah, that one, it's basically expired. And that's why we filed the new one on the road, because we couldn't do the road work under the old order of conditions. So really, and this lot, if it was approved, would have its own new order of conditions, so there would be no encumbrance for any of the lots in the old order of conditions, because it was just for the road. And we filed a new, we have to take out all the berm, we have to cut out some patches in the roadway, we have to overlay it, we have to do a bunch of things in order to make the road an accepted town way. But that order of conditions is expired, so we can't do any work on that road till we get that order of conditions also, which is a separate file.
Yeah, so.
All right. Any questions from the commission?
My suggestion would be, since the order of condition, I would have talked to town council and have him look it over and see that all the I's and T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Because if it was going to be given to the town, and that's what the original order of condition was, we have to have a process where we can remove that. And I want to make sure we do it in the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm no lawyer.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
My first blush interpretation of how to handle that would be getting a partial. I know it's expired, but maybe doing a partial certificate of compliance for the other one and having the commission vote on that condition at that time.
Yeah, I mean, you could ask for a certificate of compliance and say, one of the things is no work has been done, and therefore you give a certificate of compliance for that part of it, then you file a new order of conditions. You can't have two orders on the same property.
Yeah, at that same note, I don't know if it's the right thing to do if the commission can just ignore that condition from a prior order without closing it
I'm
out.
just repeating the conversation I had with
Sure.
Mr. Sadler, so.
He's not a lawyer either. That's why I think, to be on the safe side, I would consult with town council to find out what is the process we have to do to remove the grantor to the town, or whatever the original order of conditions said.
Well, yeah, we're probably not going to be ready for the next meeting anyway.
Yeah,
Because
so
we
we have
got
time
stuff
to-
that we promised Joe that we would do, so we would be 2 meetings out anyway, so. So that should give him ample time to address your question, Mr. Holland.
All right. So 2 meetings out would be April 20th. Do
Yes.
you want to continue to that meeting?
It all depends on if we think we can get the wetlands. Why don't we go one more?
I'm not here April 20th. So
Yeah.
I'll go one more.
Yeah, it would be tight anyways, because,
Yeah, I
he
think
wouldn't have time,
realistically,
we wouldn't have time to digest everything, so go.
we might be able to get it done, but then I'm giving it to you the Monday before the Wednesday
Yeah, so
meeting or
three-
something, so.
Three meetings out?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first meeting in May, well, that's town meeting week, so what, is it the week after that, or?
No idea.
Because usually don't meet town meeting night, week.
Don't know off the top of my head.
Well, the first available meeting in May, how about? if we say
Yes,
that?
all right.
Because I think town meeting is the 2nd and the 4th, and you would normally meet on the 4th. So whatever the first meeting in May is.
Sounds good.
All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to speak?
Donna Belza, 387 Trail Road. Sad to say, I've been through this whole development of this property since the beginning. I've lived on Trail Road for over 30 years. And that piece of land, to me, was a commitment by the original developer to offer us something, to give us something to remain of that property. It was done in good faith, and we as taxpayers appreciated it. So whatever the rules are, I just want somebody to know that it wasn't this developer, it was a previous developer. I don't know if Mr. Kuko was with the group that did it, but that piece of land was some hope. It used to be a Christmas tree farm. There were wildlife, and granted, the vernal pool. We lived through so much construction back there. For years, it wasn't even there were boulders put up, so you never went down the road. It wasn't being developed. We went through blasting and everything. And I was at home. I wasn't going to come in. I said, somebody has to know this, that we care about that damn land. And even a small parcel of land, even though the town doesn't want it, maybe the taxpayers do. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I have the damn original plans from 2001 that were approved. I don't know. And the property has been well developed. The homes are beautiful. The roads are good. But just some little thing for what the neighbors gave up. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, some of us have only been here for so long, and we don't know the history of everything that goes through here. Hello, could you introduce yourself for the record?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Balch-Kenny, and I live at 6 School Street. I have questions on this open land space. I guess I'm kind of listening. I'm new to this project or listening about it. So it's currently undeveloped land that's owned by a private investment, correct? Yep. The previous investment company left it to the neighbors as open space. You guys have reached out to the town to find out if the town was willing to buy it back to keep as open space?
No.
Okay.
So there was just like this project or any project that we bring in front of the commission, they give us they give us conditions that we are to follow. In 2001, when the whole roadway with the 25 lots was approved, there was a condition that said this lot was to remain open space essentially,
Okay.
and not buildable. That's what it was to be, and it was to be given to the town. But we've gone through this. That order has expired. It's no longer valid, and we need to do some things on this site, including fixing the road. So we're back to freshen up these permits, I guess.
So you have structural road issues that you need to do. You're not looking to build anything on this?
Oh, no, we are, yeah.
Oh.
So we're proposing a single-family house.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And there was a condition in the original order. I think they've developed a plan to confirm that what we're proposing, the town council is aware of and will agree with.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Not seeing anybody else get up.
Just want to add one more thing. The approved plans, even though it says not a buildable lot, it shows a house and a driveway and a utility connection on the record plans.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of point that out. And again, this is an awkward or a unique situation where the current owner wasn't the owner that got it developed. Dick wasn't the engineer. I wasn't the engineer, right? So we're all coming into this 20 years after the fact. But you can see on this plan the lot that's highlighted in red, right? This was part of the approved plan set. So there obviously was an intention at one point of making this a buildable lot. And somewhere between when this was drawn and when the final approval was granted, there was a change on the subdivision plan. It clearly says it's not a buildable lot. Yeah.
right, so yeah, let's do a little bit more research on this in the time until you come back. Could I have a motion to continue this public hearing and notice intent for civil design consultants, DP file number not yet assigned, but possibly 3051158, to the first available meeting in May?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Great.
Don't go anywhere yet. Because public hearing, notice of intent, civil design consultants on behalf of Arnie Martell, Fraser Lane, paving project, DP file number not yet assigned. Could you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants.
Dick Hugo, Woodland Design.
So I think this is a little bit more straightforward. As Dick alluded to, the roadway construction was approved through an order of conditions back in 2001 and was extended a couple of times, but that extension has since expired as well. We have a punch list that we're trying to address with the town, which essentially includes cutting out some pavement patches, repaving, some minor lumen seed along the apron of the roadway, new curbing along much of the roadway. So there's a handful of items we need to do to get the road to a point where it can be accepted by the town. Since we were coming in for this process, you know, I'm not sure, you know, some guys might have just gone and done it. We just wanted to make sure that we had everything kind of buttoned up. I think it's this portion of this one is fairly straightforward.
All right.
So the only comments I had for this project, as far as the paving and road adjustments go, I think as long as erosion and sediment controls are put in place and silt sacks in the catch basins during construction, I don't have an issue with that. The only question I think that's still outstanding for me is it's kind of like the permitting strategy for the project, because some of the work involves maintenance in the basins, and if you can't prove that it was installed or designed or maintained in accordance with the stormwater standards, they don't necessarily mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not jurisdictional. So until, I would just need more.
Yeah, so what I can tell you from knowing the record on the project is that the original engineering company designed and got this approved and then did an as-built in 2008. So 6 or 7 years later, they did an as-built specifically of these ponds. Okay, so the ponds, I didn't design them, but I would say that they substantially comply with what was actually designed. I have those stamped record as-built drawings, and that's something we could submit as part of as your record.
Okay. I mean, I would hold off on until I see those plans and.
Well, but that would address your concern?
As long as you can prove that it was designed or satisfy these citations of the WPA, then that should be fine.
I think what we could prove is that, you know, it was
originally
designed and approved, right, in 2001, consistent with the regulations at that time, and then it appears to be built consistent with those plans. You know, I just don't want to go out there and say, oh, yeah. Because I don't know. I didn't design and I didn't do the survey. But we can provide that information to you. I believe that it certainly is going to address that.
They didn't redline the as-built, right?
No, it was a legit real
No,
survey.
I mean, when we used to do our as-bills, we used to superimpose red as-built on design. So you pick it up and go, oh, okay, yeah. But they didn't do that, so you have to put it on the same scale. I guess you could put it on a light table if anybody still has one.
Yeah, I think the citation specifies designed in the regulatory language, so
Yeah. What certification they put on their plan, their as-built?
That I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
I'd have to
check.
look at it. But I mean, it was a post-construction as-built survey where they detailed the topography in the pond. So we have that information, we'll share it with you and reassess where we stand.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
I have none.
This is a public hearing, anybody?
Donna Balzar, Trout Road. I just have a question concerning the work that will be done on the road, if there will be any blasting or anything that may disrupt or bother neighbors.
No.
Okay, so there'll be something removed and replaced? Is that what's going to happen with the road?
It doesn't have the finished pavement on?
I know, yeah, but I thought there was some comment that was made that had to be repairs.
Yeah, if you were to drive down the road, you'd see some pavement patches.
Yes,
So some
yeah.
of those patches have sunk in, those need to be cut out, removed, repaved, and
So-
then we put a finish coat on top of all that.
Why did that happen? Why did the road have the holes in it?
Yeah, so even at this point, the road is about 15 years old, give or take. And
Oh, more than that. I
Well,
think.
you're right, but I'm saying from the time that they actually had pavement down. And so you probably could appreciate 20 different house lots cutting into the road, tying utilities in.
So it doesn't have anything to do with water?
Oh, no, not that we're aware of, no.
Okay, thank you.
It's a mini Cosmos of Route 38.
All right. So, could I have a motion to continue, I'm assuming to the same public meeting?
You know, I think this one, I could get, we could have, if that is the one comment that we have right now, we can have those plans to you later this week. I believe there was one also about an intermittent stream, which we looked at, and I have that information too. So I think we could, we could be back in 2 weeks with this information.
Right. The project is supposed to address the comments from a DPW letter in October 2021, correct?
Yes.
So I think I was recently provided that. I'll go through that to see if I missed anything. I don't.
Okay.
But
All right, so in that case, could I have a motion to continue this public hearing, notice of intent, civil design consultants on behalf of Arnie Martell, Fraser Lane, to the next meeting on April 6th, 2022?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll find out who stole, that was Jim's easel.
I don't know, somebody stole my easel.
It's probably in the other room.
I looked, I didn't see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Should have put a name on.
All right. Next item is J, Boy Scout project discussion. Is there anybody here for that? Could you come up and introduce yourselves for the record?
Hi, I'm Rob Adams. Live at 50 Wellington Circle in Tewksbury.
Kyle Adams, 50 Wellington Circle, Tewksbury.
Anything you'd like to present?
Sure. Why don't you tell them what your project is and what you're doing?
Well, over the last couple months, I've been working with Bruce Schick for setting up the plans for my Eagle project, which is something I have to do to it's required for me to get my Eagle badge, my Eagle rank, which is the highest level in Boy Scouts I can get. So what I chose to do for my Eagle project was to build 5 benches and place them around different trails in Tewksbury. So just this last weekend, I got some of my my troops, some people from my troop to go to one of my scout leaders' houses, and we built all the benches. And the only thing that I need is just the permission from you guys to say that it's okay, and then I can just place them, and then that's it.
So we've worked with the Tewksbury Open Space Committee. We've walked the trails. They've identified the 5 locations where they'd like the benches to be located. We've mapped it out, put them on some plans. We sent it to Joe, showing the approximate locations. There's no, we're not planning to remove any trees or cut any shrubs or branches. We're not going to disturb any of the earth. I mean, I would think if there's any disruption, it would be just the leveling of the ground just to get the benches pretty flat. But again, I think we're pretty flexible. If you guys want us to shift a bench here or there, or move it further from the trail or put it higher, I mean, we have some flexibility. We've just walked it with Bruce, and he identified the general areas where he'd like to locate it, and then the benches themselves would be secured with like a chain and a lock to a tree or something nearby.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I was going to say, they ain't going to stay there very long.
Yeah. They're pretty heavy benches. They're 8 foot long. They're pretty heavy duty. I'd say they're close to 200 pounds. So it would be some work. In fact, the
They
scouts
just
are
took
going to
the
have their
ATM machine out of the convenience store, so they
They found it in your house.
I know.
But the benches look really nice. As far as like a wetland permitting perspective, they obviously look close, but it doesn't seem like it would result in any real alterations that would pose like an adverse effect on the resource area. So I have no comments.
So the only comment I have is, I'd like to thank you for doing what you're doing. I think you're doing a nice service to the town. You should be proud of yourself. And I wish you the best of luck getting your Eagle badge.
Thank you.
My only comment was going to be, the only thing that stands in your way of getting that is us, so absolutely not. But I'm obviously joking. All right. So we do we have to vote on this?
It's kind of just a
great
informal.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. I was actually just taking pictures at the Pine Cemetery, and there's a few benches there, and it is such a nice thing to be able to go and just, sit down when you're exploring nature and stuff. So I think these are all very good, places to put them in and stuff. So, all right. So I'm not sure how to make this motion. Could I have a motion to approve the proposed bench locations for the Open Space Committee? And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name. You just said
Kyle.
Kyle. And yeah, for you. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, open space discussion.
Good.
Would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sure, Jennifer Balch-Kenny, Chair of the Open Space, Recreation and Planning Committee. I am just here to update you guys on the medallions project that we have going on, where we are recommending getting these medallions made up, these little metal round medallions. I brought the examples from last time to remind you guys, to delineate open space here in town. So when you're out on the trails, you're out on Tewksbury-owned land that is under your guys' purview, people just know that they're there and not wandering on somebody's personal property. I had sent it to Joe. We came up with 2 designs, and we just are here to ask your opinion, to see what you guys think.
Yeah.
I also made copies as well. They're pretty. We have one with a white background and green trees.
Look at that.
I think you got it, yeah.
So,
You need it?
I do think it.
So we have the white background with the green pine trees, or we have green with white pine trees. We thought pine was a nice little symbol of our estate. Looks great. Green ones with the white, or we have white with green. Tough decision. So, opinions, thoughts, questions?
So are those the actual medallions, or are those just examples of
They're
others?
just examples. They're going to be roughly this size.
All right.
So I think there was 3.5 inch diameter was what we got bidded out price, which is kind of like a little bit larger than this, but smaller than this one. But I just have these as a comparison size.
I'm kind of thinking, and anybody can, butt in, the arrow one that you have the example of, that's solid with blank inside, that might be better. So I'm leaning towards the green with the white, being blank.
See, I'm leaning the opposite because I have to, well,
Well, that's why we're
the
here to
trees
discuss it.
have green leaves, green bushes.
All right.
So
You think the white would stand out more?
I think the white would stand out more than the green, because what happens if the tree grows little and now all you see is green?
Maybe you should make them out of pink.
So yeah, so here's, this is a little bit larger. This is white with blue.
So
Just to
I
kind
have
of
a
give you an
question.
idea. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Are these being used to delineate trails or just any conservation protected under the Wetlands Protection Act?
Just any land protected under conservation land. And once we decide where we're going to put the medallions, we'd obviously ask for your input. And
So this
forth.
would be just for town land?
Just town conservation lands, yep.
So, yeah. I mean, we are coincidentally, we have, over the last several Conservation Commission meetings, we were looking to come up with a medallion. We were looking at it through the lens of when projects come through, sometimes the commission requires them to post the medallions to kind of delineate, don't build past here or whatever. So we kind of wanted a standardized medallion to do that. I guess I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Okay, good.
So that's why I asked the question whether it's for trails only or.
Going to be a problem using the same as hers,
I think for when a developer comes and they're gonna donate some land to open space or to, mark wetlands, we should recommend that they use this one. But for all other purposes, if it already exists and we wanna go out and, mark off existing open space land, we go with the simpler, easier to recognize. And I take your point of the green trees.
The other thing is that one. The ones that we have protected area do not, that means stay out of the wetlands. If this is open space, people are allowed to use it.
Correct.
So you don't want to put any of the protected do not disturb in that area.
Yeah.
So it should be two separate things.
Yeah. And just to let you guys know, putting these signs up is part of our goals that is in the open space handbook, which was approved by every committee in the state of Massachusetts for our town. So this is one of the goals of our committee, that to put in signage for the open spaces here in town. So you guys having so can we do a hand? It's unofficial, really. We're just here to kind of get you guys an opinion on our sign.
No, I've been swayed on
the white. So again, also here's like a white one with. Okay, so here's a white one with green writing, and then this one has the green on the inside.
It doesn't matter to me. It's still,
I could do the Vanna White thing.
I like the white.
All right, so I guess we could just raise our hands, I guess. Raise your hand if you like the white ones.
I don't have a vote.
Joey, you can vote. 1, 2, 3,
You're the tiebreaker.
4. Well, everybody voted for the white ones.
Yeah.
So anybody for the green ones?
Oh,
Dan wants the green one?
is
How
this
about you
a,
vote for the green one?
Sure, why not? I'll oppose,
All right, so the white ones have it. Thank you, guys.
All righty, thank you.
you?
Alrighty.
And then we do have, I don't have the updated agenda. There's one more that we have to continue. I thought you emailed it's item G that they asked to be continued.
Did we not continue that?
I thought we did.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, did you?
You already continued that. G?
Yeah, the ANRAD?
Yeah, you continued that one.
No, I'm sorry, not, I thought,
Oh, minor modification?
yeah, minor yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
L.
I was just gonna discuss that under.
Oh, all right. I thought that was, yeah, I'm all over the place. All right, so,
So yeah, a few things. So I'll try to be brief. 280 Rogers Street. That's what we discussed for the mass mosquito stuff. So I talked with Mass Mosquito. So if you recall, it was like one part, and then there was a second part that maintaining that stream to the side. The second part they said isn't necessary. It's kind of just voluntary on their part, but they have done work there before. So it's kind of just it's actually just up to the commission whether they want to or not. They've done it before. It's voluntary. They don't need to do it. They don't need to do it for 280 Rogers Street to solve the flooding issue. So
but it's supposed to get rid of mosquitoes?
in theory.
In theory. I mean, I'm leaning towards getting rid of the mosquitoes.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. So then we did the medallions. So the minor modification. Pass that down. So this is for 155 East Street, 2A, I believe. I forget its DEP file number, but the area that you see in the circle, the developer, I believe, Mr. Jim Mandela, had came to the desk and said, this is going to encroach into the 50. I think he cited the part of the bylaw where it's like
10% of?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is he less than a 10%?
I honestly, I don't know how to interpret that part of the bylaw. It's pretty confusing.
Let's assume. All right, if you have 10,000 square feet and it's all in the 50-foot no-build zone.
Okay.
Okay, you're allowed to use 1,000 square feet of that 10,000 square feet, 10% of the total.
Can encroach?
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't have any actual numbers here, but I'm sure you can find it out. And if it's under the 10%,
It seems under, just visually, it seems under 10%.
you can actually see that.
I mean, it's
All I
just,
see is the red circle.
it's just a small corner of the, of that home. So
Okay.
if that corner of the home is 10%.
So you can actually make an administrative decision on that when you get there and you look at it and you measure it and make sure that it's within the 10%.
Okay. I mean, my decision would just be based off of, because it's still, I don't think it's built yet. I think he's just planning on doing this right here.
All right.
So he just asked me preliminarily if it would be okay.
Yeah, so what I would do is just look up the plans that he has, because he must have been before us before.
Yeah.
So just look it up and do the calculations.
Sure.
Of,
Okay. So I guess if the commission's okay with that, I will do that and then allow him to go forward.
Yes.
Assuming
I'm
it's
fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So that's that. Where's my? There's Unpermitted tree cutting at 31 Wales Drive. When I had arrived on site, all the tree work was done, but it was similar to the 27 Ferncroft where no stumps were removed, the crane was not like disturbing any wetlands or whatever. And the homeowner said that the trees were cracked and could fall on the house or the shed.
Well, if it's a safety issue, it's a safety issue. I don't want anybody getting hurt.
So just bringing that to your attention. And Raytheon, they came to me today and yesterday about a failing culvert. So they asked me for emergency certification because it's a failing culvert. And it's causing some road collapse. There's some pictures in there. However, the roadway is just within their own complex.
Okay.
So they were able to isolate that part of the road. So there's no immediate threat to human health and safety per se from a transportation perspective. But the engineer is worried about if there were a larger rain event, that the scour could undermine it and it would head towards 495. So I hesitated at calling it an emergency because ideally it'd be permitted through an NOI and there'd be some plans, blah, blah, blah.
But it potentially could be an emergency.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're looking
Anything
at
that's
this here.
potential an emergency.
It caved in, Joe, we're gonna have, it's gonna be an emergency for sure.
Right. I mean, you can go another month when let them file the notice of intent and go through all the, the fact finding and stuff like that. In the meantime, say it collapses and all the stuff goes on 495. What are we gonna do then?
Well, so what I had suggested is they isolated that part of the road, so it's like if it collapses, it's not like a car is going to sink in there. So no cars are driving over it, no one can walk over it.
Just saying everyone can use like North Drive that's on this plan, and they pretty much close South Drive.
It's just one part of their parking lot access.
Yeah, so it was listed as North Drive and South Drive.
So I had asked them to propose other ideas that they could mitigate the emergency in the interim and then do the NOI, because I don't know, I guess it's really up to you guys whether you want to consider it an emergency or not.
And say if they can isolate it, it's not truly an emergency if they don't have any traffic going over it.
The engineer said that he was worried about the scour heading towards 495 though, and that's like what he was worried about.
How close is 495?
He said 250 feet away or something.
So it's water that would flow towards 495.
Yeah, would be sediment-laden water, yeah.
Would it hit 495? The reason I say that, what happens if it did happen and there was a car accident on 495 caused by this? That's hypothetical.
Yeah.
But, unless he can mitigate something where it wouldn't go to 495, if he blocked it off.
So he's worried about the road collapsing in and that being transported down to 495, right? Or
Yes.
all that debris.
Yes.
I don't think that's a real emergency at this point, especially if there's no cars driving over. You need some sort of ground shake or something. It's still structurally sound enough to hold. I mean, it was maintaining cars driving over it for the past couple months until there was an issue. I don't think just hearing you talk, it doesn't sound like a true emergency at this point if they can isolate it and prevent cars from driving over it at this point.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I said, can you come up with other ideas that would like make you feel comfortable for it to not, like, so they proposed like maybe check dams or something like that to prevent the scour. And even though it would be within a wetland, like the NOI would follow it up.
Right.
And it could take care of it. So I'll assume that the commission, I'll follow up with them next week to see if they have any ideas, and for now, I'll keep it as a non-emergency.
Yeah, I think that's it.
But, it's teetering on the fence a little bit. Okay, so Next thing is, our bylaw says decks, sheds, pools are exempt as long as they're 50 feet away, you use erosion and sediment controls, and that the house existed prior to August 7th, 1996. I don't know why the August 7th, 1996 is there. Do you?
No, it's probably when they started the bylaws. Yeah.
So it seems very arbitrary for me to, if someone wants to build a pool 70 feet away, but their house was built in 2001, that I couldn't exempt it.
Right. I would say you would exempt.
Okay.
And so I would add that to the list of
Yes.
when we do modify the bylaws.
And I guess to that same effect, in that exemption, we exempt pools.
We had one tonight.
Above ground, in ground, I mean, that's a huge difference.
There is a huge difference. In-ground pool, you have to, because you're doing land disturbance.
Taking all the dirt, where's it going?
Right. Where's the dirt going? You do the erosion controls where an above-ground pool is just bolted together.
Yeah. Okay, so any above-ground pool in the buffer zone, regardless of where it is?
In the fifth.
Or sorry, in-ground pool.
In-ground pool, that's different. Yeah.
Because I have to have a threshold, like, is it anything within 100 feet in-ground pool?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I think that's it. I think that's it.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Anything to
Thank you
sign,
very
Joe?
much.
Yeah, 3.